Okay, cool. So I think that's recording. Right, so Fat Finger Bertie over there. He was an SEO specialist running a company for 2 years, and I think that's where Fat Finger comes from. And now he is a software developer and AI expert, and he is bridging the gap between AI and small businesses and also schools as well. So he wants to work within the schools to help them with AI and all that sort of stuff. His company is Let Group. And yeah, so he has put together an awesome presentation for us guys to learn a bit more about how we can use AI in our businesses, some of the weird things it does and how to sort of overcome that, and how to use it safely. So I will hand over to Bertie.
Thank you. Hello everyone. I'll just share my screen to get the presentation up. It's really good to see that there's loads of different people with different. Just let me know if that's sharing or not. I don't know if that's come through.
No, not yet.
Different people with different usage. There'll be a little bit at the start for a couple of you that will be going over stuff you already know, but it's more for the people that just haven't used it really at all yet and don't really know how these systems work at all. But yeah, I've founded Let Group, which has two companies underneath it, which is Let Schools and Let AI. Let AI's focus is with small businesses like yourselves, helping them bridge the gap between using AI really well and using it just for standard usage. And then for schools, we're much more focused on the safety and safeguarding side of things, protecting children from being overexposed to AI, protecting them from blackmail scams and all that sort of stuff. All of the sort of dangerous, really scary, horrible stuff that can come off the back of these systems. But yeah, this call is more going to be about getting you up to giving you as much knowledge as I can on how to prompt these systems properly and what systems you should be using, and then a little bit on how to expand on that afterwards. But yeah, like Liz said, I did SEO for 2 years, ran my own agency for a while, and then I started this company alongside my external reviewer. She's a woman called Sue Turner. She has a degree in safety and compliance in AI, and she's named one of the 100 leading women in AI. Her focus is safety and safeguarding of safe usage, because there's a little nugget of knowledge is a lot of these systems have sort of inherent biases and a little bit of sort of racism built into them. So her role is going into these big companies who are building and deploying their own AIs and getting rid of the biases within the system so that AI is fair and for everyone. But yeah, this isn't about turning you into an expert or making you more technical than you need to be. The aim is really simple. I just want you to understand what it is, where it can be useful in the business, how to get answers from it, and how to not put yourself or your customers and your business in any sort of compromising position, and just help you. So the areas I'm going to focus on are AI for SEO, for marketing, for sales, and for admin. The businesses that benefit from this, I don't think will be the ones shouting about the AI usage. I think good AI usage is the ones who are using it quietly in the background, who their customers won't even know about it, but their services in there. And their marketing is just getting better. So as simple as I possibly can on what AI is, there's a lot of talk of it being conscious and it being a brain and all of that sort of stuff. It's all rubbish. All it is a prediction model. So it has been given millions of data points and it is just using that to predict the best answer. And there's a little bit of nuance in terms of what the best answer means, because when during the development of these AIs, companies have looked at the best answer as the most helpful answer to the user. So that doesn't mean the most accurate answer or the most real answer. That just means the answer that's going to give the user the most satisfaction. That's one main thing you need to be careful of when using AI, is it's trying to find the right answer to give you to make you happy, essentially. So I'll go on to how to prevent that a bit later on. But it's not magic. It's not a person. It's not a brain in a laptop. It's just learned patterns from huge amounts of information. That's why it can write, summarize, organize, compare, explain, all of that stuff. It does really, really well. Anything that isn't reinventing the wheel, that there's tons of data out online, it's going to be better than me or you could do it at the moment. So think of it as a junior assistant. If you hired someone, you wouldn't get them to send out legal information the next day. If you asked them to write an email for you, you would ask, they would come back with a long list of questions for you: who this email for, what the services are, what the prices are. Good AI is good context. So if you can give it good context for your business, you're not thinking about it as an answering machine. You're just thinking about it as a fast junior assistant that is never going to know more about your business that you do, but that if you give it all the context you can, then it's going to come back with a quicker answer than you can. A good comparison is the internet. 10, 15 years ago, you would have been a forward-thinking company to have a website. And you would have been considered an internet company, whereas now AI is the same way. If you're to adopt AI, you don't need to become an AI company. You just need to be using it the same way people use the internet as an asset. So starting with the tools you need, so where to access AI and what to use. For most of you, I imagine your businesses exist on either Google or Microsoft. Those both have really good AIs built into them that will likely come free with what you're already paying. So I use mainly Google Workspace. Gemini comes free with Google Workspace. If you're someone in this call that's never used AI before, start with the one that's native on the thing that you use. So start with Copilot or start with Gemini. Use that to learn. Once you're starting to really integrate things, you're starting to get better. There really is no other option than Claude or ChatGPT at the moment. Google is the only reason for that is because of the amount of integrations that you can actually do. Google is improving that drastically, and they say by the end of this year they will have something equivalent to what ChatGPT and Claude are doing. But for now, ChatGPT and Claude are leading in terms of integrating things, being able to automate things, and moving that way. You don't need more than one tool if you're just using it for standard usage. You just need the single tool. Pick the one that you're going to use. Give it the most amount of context you can. I would recommend, if it's a conversation between ChatGPT and Claude, I would always recommend ChatGPT just because it's cheaper, quite significantly. So there's a couple of clients I have that use Claude, and I usually find, so Claude and ChatGPT, they both run about £25 a month for the business subscription. Most of the clients I have that use Claude always go over their usage limits and end up spending another £50 to £100 a month just for usage. The reason for that is Claude is slightly better. So the results you get from Claude are incrementally better than you do ChatGPT, but with ChatGPT you have the option to just give it a go a little bit more. So if you're in the position where you're time poor but cash rich, go Claude. But if your time is worth a little bit more than your cash, I would go for ChatGPT, because you have the option to make mistakes and it doesn't waste usage because you have unlimited on the business plan. The only other AI that I would say is worth noting is Perplexity. That's the only option really. The only other external AI that stands out, and the only reason it stands out is research. It is the most accurate research AI for citing, pulling notes directly from sources and it being accurate. Their whole thing is they sponsor a lot of podcasts, and instead of Googling something on a podcast, you use Perplexity to get the answer. So their whole USP is research. It is very good, but is it that much better than a ChatGPT or a Gemini? If you're really pushing the usage, then yes. If you're just using it generally, then no. So that's why everything really comes back to context. A weak user with the best tool will always get weak answers. A good user with a normal tool will get really good results because they just know how to read it properly. So the reason why most people are getting, bad or generic answers from AI is because they're using it like Google. You type in one vague sentence, write me a marketing email for my plumbing company, and you're annoyed when it comes back generic. It's like, well, if we think of it like a prediction model, if you're giving a generic prompt, then it has to predict the most generic response. So if the more nuance you give it, the further away from the mean result you're going to get. So when it comes to giving the AI context, ideally you want to give it as much as you can, and I'll go on how to do that in a second. But like a good prompt versus a bad prompt would be write a follow-up email versus using my company context. Here's my company context. Draft an email follow-up for somebody who's buying that service. Keep it helpful, human, and straight to the point. The goal is to move them towards a short call. If there's missing information, ask me before writing the final version. Like all of those little things that you can put in place to go, right, there's a point. The main point in that is a point of checking. So that last bit, if information is missing, ask me before writing, is really important because AI loves to make wide assumptions. So if you can minimize its options to make assumptions, then you're more likely to get a better response. So that's why I recommend that all of you, if you're interested in using AI, like some of you say throughout your day constantly, is having a company context pack. So that would be in an MD file, which is just a markdown file, which basically just describes every angle of your business that it could possibly include. And within that, you want to give as many examples as you can, as many example emails, as many example proposals, anything, your original business plan, your marketing plans, everything that you could possibly imagine, everything that is important to you for your business should be in this pack. And then that saves you having to re-prompt the AI with company context every time, or relying on its memory. So ChatGPT has most of my company context built into its system through its own memory in my account. But that isn't very reliable because, firstly, it picks what it adds to the memory, and it also picks when to retrieve from the memory or not. So a lot of the time it's just quite sporadic. Whereas if you have a company context file that you're putting in when you're giving the chat, then it has the task of rereading all of that information before it does the task. That way you just avoid any sort of confusion or it forgetting something or not knowing something, because everything it needs to know is in that. Treat it like a manual. It says what your business does, who you help, what services you offer, your tone of voice, what your customers care about, what problems you actually solve, what your common objections are, all of that stuff. Like that, if you even think about the simplest form of prompt of write me this email is, the idea that the AI doesn't know what your common objections are when writing your email seems silly. Like it should have all that information already there so that it can write the most accurate email that's not just going to cause you another issue down the line or open yourself up for a common objection on a sales pitch. So MD files, explained really simply. Some of you might know what they are. They just stand for markdown. It sounds a lot more technical than it is, but it's just the file that ends in .md. It's just a really clean text document. It's really similar to a TXT file, which, if you use an Apple computer, when you text edit, that's just what a TXT file is. It's just text, but not in a PDF. That is the most document style, the most readable document style for an AI. So if you're putting it in that, then the readability will be quicker and it'll be more accurate, rather than putting PDFs in as files and then putting in your URL in there as well. So you want to essentially put all of that stuff in there. How do you save a .md? If you're using, I'm not 100% sure on Microsoft, but if you're using an Apple computer, just open the text edit, put it into that file, and then when you press save as, change .txt to .md, but .txt would be fine as well, but MD is the preference. So in that company context file, the main things that you need are the company overview, services, target customers, tone of voice, your process of sales, your marketing strategy, your SEO context, your admin workflows, and your safety rules. So that's one of the most important parts of that is the safety rules that you put in. So like I said before, like at the end of a prompt, if I'm putting in, you know, if I don't have context, ask me. In the context, in this master document for your company, at the bottom of it, you just put in all the rules that you need the AI to follow. Don't make up prices, don't make up policies, don't make up, just reaffirming all of the things that it shouldn't do, so that if it gets to the end of that document and it doesn't have that, it will just recheck over that. And then the same at the bottom of that, if there is missing context from this document to complete the task to the best you can, then please come back to me and ask me for that context before completing the task. That way you just avoid all of the hassle of going back and forth. I know most of you would have, you know, the first time you used AI, gone back and forth with these really generic, sort of overly excited wording of everything that's really overcomplicated, using stupid language that no one ever speaks. Like, you know, it does all of that. But this just avoids all of that because it has your tone of voice. But yeah, I can't remember if I mentioned, but the best way AI learns is examples. So find the best company emails you've ever sent, find the best sales emails you've sent, and put them in there as those examples, because that will give it the best. You know, putting in the wording of how you think you talk in an email is the interpretation of that by AI is different to how you would expect it to be. So putting in the actual examples is always going to get you a better response. I will send you guys at the end of this this really long list of everything that you should put in there. But the general premise is simple. You know, if you know everything about your business, put as much information as you can in there, and then you can use that to test against the AI. So as you start using a context file, if it starts giving you back answers that are wrong, then you know there's stuff missing from that document that you need to start putting back into it. But basically, as long as the document gets better over time, it will be better. It will be better overall. So
can I just say, sorry, but Liz just asked a question: what was wrong with uploading PDFs?
There's nothing wrong with it. It's just not the most readable document for an AI. So it's not the easiest document for it to read. A lot of times, PDFs are structured in a way where it's like visually appealing, which generally makes it hard for AI to consume simply. Like when you've got titles here or a box here or stuff moving around, AI just wants it straight down. Just give me the bullet points, give me the words, give me everything as simply as possible, and it will digest that information as quick as possible. Again, like if you have really clean, good PDFs versus your company context file, it will be an incremental difference, but it will make enough difference to notice, especially in terms of time the prompt takes to put out the result. So hallucinations, again, I'm touching on those throughout. All of these rules that I'm talking about are all the things to avoid hallucinations. I'm sure those of you that have used AI have seen hallucinations. I mean, a really good example from me 2 weeks ago was when I was sort of writing up the first like rough script of what I was going to talk to you guys about. I put the script into ChatGPT and asked it to give me a sort of brutal review of what I'd written, and I hadn't realized that I hadn't actually pasted it in, but it gave me a full review, and I only realized about halfway through when it quoted me that it had just assumed the entirety of the script. So, because it has my company context, it was able to make a wide assumption using that information. So it's just getting rid of that stuff. So list of rules being: don't invent prices, don't invent availability, don't invent guarantees, don't invent policies. You know, I could go on forever with the amount of things that could be in there. But again, like just ask ChatGPT, give me a list of rules to avoid hallucinations, and it will just give you that full list, and then just put that list in the bottom of the MD file. You know, I'll give you these assets, but you know, these are very easy to create yourself or specifically to your business. But yeah, most important rule overall is if this document is missing something and you need to make assumptions to complete the task, just ask me first. Where past emails, past the more general stuff, where having this context file becomes really exciting, and actually quite creative and fun, is where you can start. If you're looking to grow your business, is where you can start using it to do that kind of thing. So if you've got this big context file that you've been building up for the last few weeks, adding things as you're using ChatGPT and the rest of it, then you can start going, looking at my entire business, look at my entire business as a whole, brutally tell me what I'm doing wrong. Or looking at my business as a whole, find me 3 ways I could be increasing my revenue in the next 6 months. Or looking at my business as a whole, find me 3 ways that I could improve customer experience, without adding costs. Like all of that stuff, it's really, really good at, because of the amount of data. Like most of your, well, all of our businesses, none of us are doing new things. We're using old methods on new products or changing products. Like the system, the way we market is the same way we've been marketing for 50 years. The way we do all of that, it's all been the same, but the platforms change. The strategies are always the same. The psychology is the same. The humans that you're dealing with don't change. The places you're dealing with them do. So the pattern recognition for that stuff, it's really, really good at. You can ask it where your bottlenecks are in your business. You can ask it, you can put in, if you're putting in your CRM information, you can then get it to analyze the data of how long you keep a customer for, and going, okay, most customers drop off around the 8 months to 1 year period. What can I do to keep those customers for longer? All of that stuff, especially for service businesses that are working month on month, which is more my area, is where it becomes like really, really useful. You can even, you put in your FAQs, you put in your SEO information, you pull your information from Google Search Console, and then you can get it to scan your website. What content is missing from my website? What objections am I not dealing with on the front page of my website that I need to be dealing with, the common objection that I'm getting? All of that stuff is going from using AI as just a stranger to using somebody that is actually an expert in your business. So the workflow is really simple. Have a company context file, add all your business basics, and then add things as you go, and then use that in a ChatGPT project or a Claude project or a custom GPT, all of those sorts of things, or just use it on Gemini, chuck it in, use it to get the result. So as soon as you've got that stuff down, as soon as you've got how to prompt, you know how to build. And another thing, sorry, Liz wanted me to touch on this, is if you're struggling with prompts, ask AI to write the prompt. I do that all the time. It's like, oh, give me a prompt for this, and I put in what I would have put, and it gives me a way better prompt. And then it gives, the AI understands the AI, it's going to give you a better result. So if you're struggling with prompting, do a chat, give me a prompt for, put it in, use it to prompt the chat. That is probably the most, a lot of people give out prompt templates and the rest of it. I've noticed that is the most successful route of going about it. You might have to change 1 or 2 things in the prompt it gives you if it goes a little bit overboard, but again, that's easy to do. So yeah, like I was saying, the workflow is simple. Once you have your company context file, once you know how to prompt, then really the way that your businesses take advantage of these systems is through agents. Having tasks completed for you on schedule or on demand is really the next wave of sort of actual improvement. That's everything from responding directly to customers to doing admin in the background. I personally advise most people to start from the back, start from all the stuff that never touches customers, and work that way forward. And then if you can get everything right, then maybe start integrating something to respond to customers straight away. But to start with, you want to focus on the most boring, the most repetitive jobs that you can to move it forward. I've got a couple of good prompt examples here that I'm just trying to find. But yeah, so agents, the only options at the moment are ChatGPT and Claude. So for those of you that already have a ChatGPT business subscription, you have access to agents and a pretty high usage limit of agents. That runs off your codex usage, which I would put a bet on that none of you use. So that is a completely unused area of your subscription that you can start to take advantage of. You won't find it in the app. You'll only find it in the web version on a computer or on a mobile. In ChatGPT, it will be on the left-hand side under agents with a little bubbly face symbol. In that, there are preset agents that you can build off. So they have sales assist agents, marketing agents, all of that stuff where the majority of the work is already done, where you can select the agent, make it specific to your business, give it that context file, and then move forward with it that way. That way you can start actually scheduling tasks to be done to go out. So for the ones of you doing social media, a really good way of doing this is going, okay, you're a marketing assistant looking at my competition. So I want you to scan, you give it your list of your biggest competitors, and then every morning at 7 a.m. you get it to do a scan of their socials and see what they've posted, what trends they're using, what they're not using, what views they're getting, all of that kind of stuff, and gather that data to then help you with your marketing. Basically finding out what you're not doing that your competitors are. Another one would be, as simple as an email assistant, but on the reading and the sending out side of things. So you're an email assistant at the start of each day, review my emails, rank them by importance, summarize what needs a response, give me a short list of what I need to do. Don't send anything, don't delete anything, just prepare the summary. That summary can just be sent to your inbox. And then you can work it that way. The idea behind agents is the reason why they're so useful is because the task that they can complete is so narrow. So it's about making it specific. Another one would be task board checker, to-do list checker, going, something that looks at your project management platform, whatever you use, sees what tasks haven't moved in the last 48 hours and then prioritizes things that way. Flags things that haven't been touched for a while, or flags things that require other people to take action on them. The main way I use it is I have a competitor monitoring system. So I have all the companies that are my direct competitors, and I have an agent scan everything that they've changed every morning. Most of the time there's nothing, but a lot of the time there's pricing changes, there's changes on their website with text, there's changes on their SEO strategy, so I can see if what they're ranking for is changing. All of that stuff I'm keeping track of to see what I can keep up with a bit more. And again, it's not completing the SEO for you, but it's showing you all of the gaps that you wouldn't see otherwise.
Sarah's just put a question in the chat.
Let's have a look. To use this area like team members and strategy minds in specific departments. Exactly, yeah. Going in specific roles, specific departments, specific jobs, getting them to take actions on those parts. So the best way to the best way to do that is once you have the context file, put it in the context file and ask ChatGPT what can be automated. What out of this should I be automating as a daily task or a weekly task? And then you can set those agents up within ChatGPT. Again, the agent thing probably sounds a bit more complex than it is. Once you press on it yourself and have a little play around, you'll realize it's just like ChatGPT. You just ask it if it can do a thing, it tells you whether it can or can't. And it can connect directly to apps and stuff like that. But that is the perfect use. Use the context file to make chatting with AI, the general chat, great. But use the agents for the really specific tasks. But in whatever area of the business, to be honest, and also these things are changing every day so dramatically that something that is impossible today will be possible tomorrow, and then all of a sudden you'll be able to integrate something you never thought that you'd be able to. I'm half of my job is keeping up with this stuff, and I find a lot that there are things that I haven't noticed that have changed dramatically that I go, right, I need to get on that and make that change. And ChatGPT agents was one of them. I didn't realize till about 7 days after release, and it was basically one of the. It was a huge mistake. So yeah, if you're deploying agents, I would personally do it in ChatGPT. You can do it in Claude as well, but again, Claude's more expensive. That's really what it comes to. Your output is maybe 5% better, maybe 10% if you're really prompting very well, but the cost side of it, I can't justify. So yeah, that can be anything. SEO assistant, customer reply, sales assistant. A good use case that I do it for is I have a little software that I put together that is like my call handling software, like a mini CRM just for myself. So the agentic part of that is I make a call from the system. I then make notes while on the call. I press save and continue and go to the next call. As soon as I press save and continue, that syncs with the Google Sheets, that then syncs with my ChatGPT, which then syncs with my Gmail, which then sends off the inquiry email. I've written the templates for the emails that I need sent out. Then in that notes section, I'm putting in the names and the relevant information to the email that I need to be added, and then those emails are just getting sent out automatically while I'm able to take more calls. So that's like a real life way that I've found to increase, because I do a lot of sales. The issue is I can only send so many emails a day and I can only make so many calls a day. And what's the part I'd rather eliminate from that? I'd rather spend more time on the phone than more time spending emails. So I built that automation to get rid of that entirely. And again, that isn't just AI sending out emails, that is you creating the template, sending out human written emails out to your customers. So when it comes to marketing and SEO, it's really about, it's a lot, there's fundamentals that are in place that most of you will understand already, but generally it's really about your specific, the way you work and finding the best way to integrate that with the things that already exist. To address the AI SEO stuff, this all started when it's sort of in the last 6 months of me stepping away from SEO and moving more into software development. Is all of hundreds of companies around us were selling AI SEO. It is not a thing. It doesn't exist. AI SEO, the only description it could be is just using AI to do a bit of SEO. This idea that you can up your rankings within ChatGPT and stuff like that doesn't really exist. And the only way it exists is the same way that you rank on Google. So if somebody's using ChatGPT to find a company, ChatGPT doesn't look on the 100th page on Google to find that company. It looks on the first. It's looking in exactly the same place you are. It's not digging to the depths of the internet to find something that is hard to find. It is finding the easiest things to find. So good AI SEO is just SEO. That's all it comes down to. If your backlinks are good, your tags are all in place, and all of the basic stuff is done, and you're pushing SEO with blogs and such, there's no trick for getting better rankings on AI. Apart from one thing that I'll touch on later that me and Liz would like to do for a few of you. There's one small element that can be done. But yeah, if somebody calls you about AI SEO, they're not. It's SEO is already a smoke and mirrors industry. It's already, customers don't really understand what you're doing for them most of the time, and it's hard to quantify the results a lot of the time. It's no different. And the AI SEO is even more smoke and mirrors, but it's no different from regular SEO. So if you're worried about ranking on ChatGPT, you should be just as worried about your rankings on Google, and you should just be pushing more SEO, sort your FAQs, look at your Google Search Console, all of that stuff. It is very good at finding the gaps. So, putting in your website and getting it to find the gaps in your SEO is really helpful. I'd try that as a standard prompt. It can do things like generate FAQ sections, what are going to be the most likely questions you have to answer. But still, the best data on that is all within your Google Search Console. It's all within the things you already use. Like, it can make a good guess on what customers are searching for, but the best data is actually just in the things you already have access to. So I'd just be getting that. I'd be getting those keywords and getting that research. You know, even getting someone who does SEO to give you an audit, and then using that with AI to bridge the gaps. One thing I would advise everyone not to do, it's not as much of a headache now, but it will become a headache in the future, is generating a lot of content for websites and stuff with AI. Google already does scrutinize for it a bit, but it is going to get a lot more strict as the internet gets more and more clogged with AI rubbish. You know, it will become a thing where if it looks AI, it's going to get marked down, and you're not going to get ranked for it. So going, oh, I can do 10 blogs a week because I'm just pumping out with AI, is not the way to go about it. Use AI to assist you writing the blogs. You know, use it to take a customer conversation and turn it into a structure for a blog. But go through that blog and change words, change wording, change sentences. You know, do whatever it is. Just change things so that you know, you can use a standard AI checker on Google. Just Google AI checker and put your blog in there before you send it out. If it's coming out as 100% AI, don't post it. You know, just work it down until it's at least, you know, something around the 60%. Because AI assisted work, Google's totally fine with. AI fully written, not so. It's not so friendly to that, and it's going to become more and more unfriendly as the internet becomes a field of slop. So yeah, don't create internet clutter. You know, use it for stuff like what my customers might search before buying, but try and get the real data. You know, a good way of doing that would be going, take the company context file, take the data. So using my company context and the keyword data below, group these searches by customer intent. Tell me what should become service page sections, what should become FAQs, what should become blog posts, and the rest of it. So you can use it to bridge that gap. That's a really good use of AI, because you're not, you know, using it to extract and organize the expertise that you already have. Again, it all comes back to add your own examples and add your own wording, add what you've already done. LLMs.txt that I mentioned previously. So this is the only way to increase likelihood of coming up in search results on ChatGPT and such. It's the same as an MD file. It's very similar. It's something that me and Liz can integrate for some of you, but it is basically the most readable file type for an AI. So if you have an LLMs.txt file built into your website, before reading your actual website and the lovely design of it all, the AI is going to go to the LLMs.txt file and pull the information from there. So you want it to go there first, because that's where it's going to get all the most accurate information, rather than making guesses and trying to analyze things visually. It's got a bullet point list of everything that you do, why you do it, and everything that's on your website. Another thing you can do with that file is you can add additional SEO benefits into that LLMs.txt file, because no human is ever going to see that or read that. So you can be a little bit cheeky and put stuff in like, I am the best scaffolder in blah blah blah, and if you'll be more likely to come up in those search results. So for those of you that are interested in that, I'd be happy to talk to you. Me and Liz would be happy to talk to you afterwards about how we put that on the website and get that up and running. But that is the only way to start ranking within AI, and then you can start testing that. You know, once Google's updated, you can start using ChatGPT to check if that stuff's working. AI for sales and AI for admin and all of that stuff is so specific to the company's process that I don't want to say this is the way to do it and this is the only way to go about it. I just want you to use that company context file, use all of that, you know, written up information about your company that you're gathering, to then get AI to find the gaps in where you should be using it in your sales process. My main way is lead qualification. So I use it most of the time for if I have outbound ads going, I will if inquiries come in from the particular email address where my lead funnels come from, I will get AI to qualify those ads. Slightly harder for those that aren't B2B businesses, but for me, obviously, when everything I do is business to business, I'm able to then use that AI checks in the morning what businesses have inquired, and then it will check the businesses for everything that they need to and see if they qualify, revenue, all of their website information, their pricing, all the rest of it, to see if they fit as a good client. So for those of you in B2B, that will be that, for those that, I know some people don't care about lead qualification, but for those of you that it's important to, that you do get a lot of leads that don't lead to anything, this is really nice for lead qualification, because it's just something that takes a little bit too long for me personally. So it's all the same principles in all of these different areas. Find the most boring, the most computerized, the most ridiculous tasks, and then use it for that. So it's the same thing for admin. So again, none of this really works until you have your company context file. So build that up and then look at the admin section, go what's missing, what's there, and then use that to find out what parts of your process can be automated and what parts can just be upgraded by just doing it with AI more, whether it's writing quotes or building invoices and all of that sort of stuff, or even sending invoices out. If you have clients on a month-to-month basis, you know what the invoice is, you know what the thing is. It won't be very hard to build a workflow that is, you put the invoice template in, you know what the pricing is every month, and it's just automating sending that out, and you don't even have to think about it again. All of that stuff is really good usage, but I don't want to just keep repeating myself with similar prompts and similar ideas. I just want this to give you the sort of thing to go, right, all of this stuff is possible. I just need to build the base and build it off. Admin is where I would start. Mainly because it's low risk, and the integrations are slightly less extreme than doing something that's scanning social media or scanning the web. It's something that's just taking your internal systems, your CRM, and automating it that way. I just want to touch on like everything that could possibly go wrong, like the safety side of things. We really, really, like, the reason why I started doing this is because I really do care a lot about safe usage and using it properly and using it fairly. My perspective has changed over the last few months, but I do believe that small businesses like yourselves are in the best position with this AI stuff. Your barrier to entry is low, your risk is low, your benefit is higher than most. Large industries and large companies, large law firms and anyone dealing with, medical companies and the rest of it, they all have to build systems themselves because of the laws and restrictions that are in place. Businesses like us are the only ones that can just get on these platforms, start using them, start testing them with lower risk than the rest. So I do think all of you guys are in like pole position to take the majority of the advantage from this and should get majority of the benefit. But I would just, until you're really sure, I would rule out ever using AI for customer interaction. I don't know how you guys feel about it personally, but when I see AI advertising, so AI video ads, when I see AI design, and when I see AI communication, like chatbots on websites and stuff, I don't like it. It doesn't give me a good customer experience. It doesn't add for anything. In fact, it takes away from the brand and the image, the rest of it. So I would stay away from that stuff. Public perception is also, I've noticed, generally negative, especially on the AI content side of things. The only way you can get away with it is if you lean into it quite a lot. Like if you're sort of almost taking the P out of what you're using AI for, then you can kind of get away with it. But otherwise, I wouldn't be using it for serious online advertising if you want people to take you seriously. It has a sort of it has a real look to it, and it does look cheaper than it should. And I have a lot of clients at the moment that I'm battling to not put that stuff out, because I know how tempting it is to go, I don't want to spend, you know, $1,000 getting that video made. I'd rather put this out there. But I don't think the reward on the other side is bigger just because you've spent less on the material. I think the long term pushback of it is negative. So yeah, the things to be aware of, the things that are going to catch you out are really only hallucinations. If you are doing all of this stuff, just try and just check stuff. I know all of you will do before it goes out to a customer. You're going to check things. You're going to check things before they go out, but check facts. If it tells you a law exists, just Google the law to make sure it's there. If it, you know, just double check, because depending on what industry you're in, the mistake is either less or more expensive. It depends what you're doing. But you know, for anyone anywhere close to anything legal or financial or procurement wise, or you know, government work, I'd just be really careful with that stuff. And one thing I would avoid pretty much entirely is design. You just don't, like, for example, this presentation was done with Gemini. This is a Gemini created presentation. You know, I had all the text, but I'm not a designer. I put the presentation together just using Gemini. It whipped it together easy and quickly, and it looks all right. It works well. There's nothing particularly wrong with it. But the main problem is it's always going to be generic with design, unless you are going from the ground up. You know, there's only one design I've ever done using AI, and that's because it was a really specific thing that couldn't really have been done otherwise. But if it can be, you know, you're going to get a much better result by drawing something up on a piece of paper and sending it to Liz or sending it to whoever than you are if you're going about it in a way of getting Lovable or ChatGPT or any of these sort of design, or Claude design. If you're using any of those, what you'll notice is at first the problem is you see it, you go, that looks really clean and nice, I want to use that. But then you start using it and more of really similar stuff starts cropping up, and you start going, right, I'm basically just using a glorified template. The designs that AI is able to push out aren't different enough for it to be decent. So I just steer away from it entirely. But yeah, I think your businesses are in the best in the best position. I've sort of jumped all over the place with the way I was supposed to pull this out, but sort of my final takeaway, the most important parts are: get your context down, sort your prompts out, then start integrating agents, and then using those agents to automate tasks. That is, if you do all of that properly, it will all be safe. It will all be easy to do, and it will all work quite well for you. But it's just about doing the appropriate steps at the appropriate time. Just move on the scale. Don't try and create an agent after this call. Sort your context out, sort your prompts out, move forward that way. And you will find that every single day you will get better at talking to the AI. The main difference I found is, you know, if I watch someone prompt now, I go, what on earth are you doing? Because I've spent, you know, nearly 4 years now with a ChatGPT subscription. I just know what it wants me to write to get the best out of it. So you'll just learn as it happens. To answer the questions that came in beforehand, can the AI procure priced items so that a visual contains not only an idea but a purchasable list? I'm pretty sure, was that Liz who asked that?
No, I don't think the lady's here who asked that, actually.
Oh, okay, well, I was going to ask you to explain exactly
what
I mean.
You answer it anyway, because I'll send them the video.
Well, another question was in regards to, and this will be important to all of you, in regards to using AI, who gets ownership of the rights of design if the concept and instructions are submitted by an interior designer, for example? Currently, in the UK, anything that you create with AI, because you have prompted it, it is your copyright. It is by any means yours. That could change tomorrow, and I'd let Liz know straight away and send out an email. But for the meanwhile, it looks as though anything that you prompt then becomes your intellectual material. I don't think that's going to change. There were rumors of that being close to changing, like last year, but that was met with a really bad response. So I just don't think that that's going to happen. How to get AI to speed up social media. I've touched on it a little bit, but it's the automation side of things. It's looking at what other people are doing, but you not actually having to do that looking. You know, I do what I used to do when we were doing SEO. I used to also help my clients with social media, and I found I spend most of my time looking at what everyone else was doing. And if you can have an AI doing that instead, that just rids all that time. You just have that fed into a list of videos that is all the trends that they're doing, all of the, how many, you know, social media a lot of the time boils down to amount of posts per week, per month, per day. It's really a numbers game. You know, quality obviously matters, but if you've got a standard of quality set in place that's good enough for social media, then it's really just about how much you're posting. So I still do help clients with that side of things, sorting out, looking at what their industry competition are doing. So I'd use that as the main point. Nothing specific, just in SEO the company. SEO for website and AI. Yeah, like I said, LLMs.txt is the only real game changer. Apart from that is creating the company context, getting the data, you use that to analyze that data to then tell you what holes are in your website or what can be improved. But apart from that, like, the main thing is speed of adoption is nowhere near as fast as everyone kind of assumes it's going to be. Business owners like yourselves are already ahead because you're even thinking about AI. Like, you wouldn't believe the amount of people I call that won't touch it, won't ever touch it. So if you continue in the way you're going, you're going to continue to be more advanced than most businesses. And I just keep developing on that. If there are any other questions, please.
Liz has got a question in the chat.
Oh, wicked. If you get AI to rewrite a blog, how is that seen by Google in terms of what you said about avoiding AI? Yeah. So if you're getting AI to rewrite a blog, do you mean in the context of you've written an old blog being rewritten, or you're on mute at the moment?
Unmute.
Sorry, you're on mute, Liz.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
I was just thinking, if I do a draft of a blog, but then get AI to rewrite it so it's better format and everything with the correct spellings, and then I publish it, how is that seen with Google? Like she said, try and avoid using AI for doing all
the so it's so hard to judge because Google changed this every month. But generally the rule is be AI assisted rather than fully AI written. So you can the best route is just use a GPT checker. Just search up AI checker. Any of them work. They're not crazy accurate, but they will tell you if something is convincingly AI or not. If it's coming up as 100%, don't post it. If it's anywhere near 60, I'd just post it, and you'll be fine. As long as Google can recognize that a human is at least taking a decent effort to integrate, to write it themselves, then there's no reason for them to scrutinize it.
Sorry, can I just ask?
Yeah.
Can I just say something to Liz? Just if you put in like your thoughts into it as well, then that's going to be better for it rather than it just being some AI stuff or like your words but AI. But if you've got your thoughts and your views on stuff, that's going to benefit you as well.
Okay.
Sorry, guys, Sarah.
So I just wrote down you need to use the AI checker to check your blogs to make sure that it's not just all AI. So I'm just going to Google AI checker. There's going to be loads that come up. So which one would you recommend that I use?
Generally, I wouldn't. I don't really trust any of them, to be honest. I think they're all very generic, and they're all somebody just pumping out a website, but they all work just about enough. Like, there isn't one that I've used that I go, that's the one to go for. I would just look at whatever one's coming up as the top result is going to be the one that's most used at the moment. Use that one, give it a go, and it will work. All you need to know is whether it's 100% AI or not. That's the only factor that matters. When it comes to lockdown.
Can we just go back to it was Claire's question, where she said, can AI produce price items so that a visual contains not only an idea but a purchasable list? So she's not here, but I'll send the video so you could just, if you could answer. So what I think she means by that is if she puts in something to create a mood board or an ideas board for a customer, she's an interior designer, can it come up with the links that go with the items that she's suggesting, is what I imagine.
Yeah, I definitely can, but would it be quicker than, like, if you're talking about links on a mood board that you like physically press on, is it going to be quicker than like adding a hyperlink on Adobe Express or something similar, just embedded in? But probably not. You know, a lot of this stuff is a lot of this stuff does really, like, if something seems like it's hard to automate, it probably is a little bit too difficult, and you should just the idea is aim a little bit lower with the automation side of things. Like essentially that does come down to design. You're relying on the AI putting the products in the right places on a mood board. I'd just do it myself if that was the case, and I'm someone that uses it for as much as I possibly can, but I'd still do something like that.
Thank you. Has anyone else got any questions? Is everyone all right? Mine's been blown. So Bertie was talking about was it LLMs.txt? LLMs, the file that we can put onto your website. So if any of you would like that here, let me know and we can sort that out for you. And I think what would be quite a good idea is if me and Bertie create something to help you create your company context pack that we can send to you guys, so that will help you when you're asking questions on ChatGPT or whatever it is you're going to use. Does that sound good? Cool.
Yep.
Right, well, if no one's got any more questions, I think that's a wrap. And thank you guys for coming.
Just to ask, was anyone more confused than before? Okay, I had a feeling there would be someone that was definitely more confused than before.
If you come away and then you're like, oh, I didn't understand that, I've got some questions, then just
I did not understand it, but there was stuff on there that I thought that I didn't realise that I thought maybe I needed, and now I'm thinking, do I need that? Maybe not. I'm taking baby steps. I'm just using it for what I need at the minute, and then moving forward if I need it.
Exactly that. Yeah, don't let people try and sell you extra AI products and stuff. You know, what you have accessible is the best that's out there.
Also, like with that context pack, the company context pack, just start off like with the basics, and then you can build on it. It doesn't have to all be within it right from the start. Like at the minute, I'm guessing you haven't got anything, so something is kind of better than nothing. And then as you go through, you can like just keep adding to it. And I guess like every time you have a chat, you put that in first. Is that right?
Yeah, every time. I mean, if the chat's just generic and you don't think it's going to add much, don't put it in. But most of the time, if the AI asks, a lot of the time the AI is going to show you where the holes are, because ask it to do a task, it's going to give you an answer, and it's going to be missing some context that made the answer bad. So just use that to feed it back in. But I honestly, the file can be huge. So don't like go, oh, I shouldn't put that in there too much to read. Just put it in. Just keep putting stuff in there. The more it has, the more context it has. It's really good at that stuff. So just let it spit out the answers for you.
And then, like for people like me who work with other companies, I would like need a file for each customer, so that, because sometimes when I write into ChatGPT, it starts talking to me about one of my other customers when I'm actually asking about my own business. So I guess that's useful for that type of thing as well.
Yeah, I mean, again, you could either, yeah, I would start one individually for each company. Yeah, you could put it in the big, like I would also have it in the master. I would have it in the big general one, so that it can also look at all your clients when it's giving you an answer.
Okay.
This, you know, a lot of the time it will see things that you don't see, especially if you try and push it too. So especially like once you have that big context file, you can do so much in terms of like really grill me on what's going on within my business and show me what I'm missing, because I'm not making as much money as I want to, or you know, I'm losing time on this or I'm losing time on that. That's the biggest use case for the context file.
Oh, Chris, you got a question?
Yeah, I have. I mean, the work I do is it's client focused, and also private. I work with people on their health and well-being journey. Often people have got mental health issues and stuff like that. One of the things that I'm thinking is I want to be noticed more locally. How can I use AI to really dial down and become focused just on Essex, if you like? Because I much prefer the face-to-face work than this medium.
Yeah, I guess a lot of that comes back to SEO. I mean, I don't know if you do anything at the moment or anything like that, but like the best way to be more prominent locally is generally Google Maps, Google reviews. You know, if you're a good sort of area, and it's relatively cheap to do, would be running ads on Google Maps. That way you're only catching people that are looking for it in that specific area close to you, and the rest of it. The ways you can integrate AI into that is using it to actually help you create the ad material. So I don't know if you've ever done a Google ad before, but usually you do like A/B testing. So you'll have two ads, but there'll be one ad, and you'll basically Google will help you A/B test that ad when it goes out. So it will show one customer one, it'll show the second customer the other, and basically on basis of which one gets more engagement and more back and forth, then that one will get shown more. If you're using, the best way to use AI there is going, right, I'm going to get AI to write the ad material. I'm going to change a couple of words so it doesn't get flagged. And then I'm going to basically take the data from my Google Analytics, put it into my AI with my ads, and then go, show me how I can increase my engagement rate by, 25 to 10% or whatever it is. For you who hasn't particularly used these systems before, I would say you're going to get a better result out of SEO than you are AI. In a general basis, like to get more business local to you is just for more people local to you to know who you are. That's, it all boils down to who knows your service is available. So I would recommend running ads on Google Maps. And if you start to do that, then just book a call with me and Liz, and we'll talk to you about how to actually use Google AI or the rest of it to use that to analyze that data and put out more ads and get more customers.
Thank you.
No worries.
Could you use AI to sort of look at your local competition and see how they're doing SEO?
Yeah. So like I said before, like a competitor's agent, I find really useful. So I have something that monitors my competition. So every day it will remind me, or it will just give me a little note on anything that's changed or anything they're doing differently, or differently to me, or whether they've, you know, some of the time it can track when new backlinks are appearing, which is stuff that's like really useful to go, right, all of a sudden they're on this directory and that directory and that. They're clearly pushing for more SEO. It means I probably have to push for more SEO. But again, like that stuff gets quite technical. And if you're not somebody that does any SEO yourself or cares about it that much, it's going to be very hard for you to do, because the starting point is so far apart. So I think it's about just knowing where you're at now. And
yeah, I was thinking about that for you, Sarah, to look at what your competition are doing.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm always looking at what the competition are doing, and I don't do any Google advertising, because I tried to do it once and it went horribly wrong, and I vowed never to do it again. So I would probably like to be led by the hand for that.
Yeah, well, look, I mean, all of that stuff, like, as much as I'm not personally the one with a fat finger that does SEO anymore and stuff like that, like, we'd be happy to help with that sort of thing, getting you on the right course. I still, you know, I have Let Group, but I still have, there's one guy that runs the SEO agency still, and that just ticks along with the clients it has. So for those of you that aren't like, that need a bit of a push with the Google ads and the more technical side of things to then start integrating AI, then that's something that we could book a call and talk to Liz about and do that sort of thing, especially if she's the one managing your website now. It'd be very easy to integrate things from there.
Okay.
Yeah, cool. Hey, has anyone else got anything? I can't see some people. Yeah, all good?
I think all good. Yeah, that was great. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
No, thank you, everyone. I really appreciate your time.
Cool. Right, I'll follow up with an email to you all, talk to you about these text things, whatever they are.
Yeah, I'd like to know about that. Please.
Yeah. Very technical as I am. Yeah, and we'll follow up with the context pack things, how to help you write those so that you get the most out of AI. But yeah, if anyone's got any questions like come up throughout the day, just let me know, and can ask Bertie and he'll get back to us.
Lovely.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Cool.
Really, really
All right.
helpful. Thank you. Yeah, really helpful.
Good.
You're really good. Thank you.
Oh, good.
Thank you very
Thanks.
much.
Thank you guys for coming. It's great to see you all.
Yeah, thank you
Cheers, guys.
guys.
Bye.
Thank you.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.